Good afternoon from chilly Madison, Wisconsin. Folks filing inside one of the better venues in all of college basketball, the Kohl Center. And with the temperatures outside, come inside for some Big Ten basketball today here in Madison. The Badgers wrapping up their non-conference portion of their schedule here today. Basketball on BTN, one final time for the Badgers in 2017. Wisconsin 7-7 taking on the Riverhawks from UMass Lowell at 6-6. Happy New Year, everybody. Alongside Andy Katz, I'm Corey Provis. We take a look at the starting lineups. And for the Badgers, Andy, Greg Gard has a young leader blossoming in front of him right now, and freshman guard Brad Davison.
Yeah, he has become this team's leader without question. Even though he's not a star, not someone that you would maybe know in the preseason like Ethan Happ or Demetric Trice, who is out right now. Brad Davison, especially because of his toughness, has become this team's unquestioned leader.
And despite the injured shoulder, we'll get to that throughout the telecast. He is good to go today. As for the Riverhawks, if UMass Lowell will shock the world and win today, they'll need a big game from number 10, Jihad Thomas.
Yeah, Pat Duquette, the UMass Lowell coach, telling us that Jihad Thomas is our motor. He's our glue guy. We're going to have to play through him a ton this afternoon.
UMass Lowell out of the America East Conference, and Thomas a preseason All-America East selection, averaging just under 20 points per game. There is Pat Duquette, longtime assistant coach with Al Skinner at Boston College, and has UMass Lowell D1 eligible for the first time. That's a big deal. More on that later on. As for Greg Gard, could be a big day for the Badgers' third-year head coach. If they win today, he will become the third fastest to reach 50 wins, joining Hall of Famers Walter Meanwell and, of course, the great Bo Ryan.
And Pat Duquette just picked up his 50th career victory in their last win against Boston University. And Corey, you are living in Minneapolis. You've been there for 6 years. I'm going to amend your word. You said chilly Madison. I'm going to go with frigid.
It's cold.
Yeah.
It's cold everywhere right now.
Maybe it is cold outside.
In the Midwest, so great to have you with us today. Just lock in, enjoy some Big Ten basketball today from Madison. Ethan Happ will jump for the Badgers. Could be a monumental day for Happ as well. 3 assists shy from becoming the 9th Big Ten player since the 96-97 season to reach at least 1,100 points, 700 rebounds, and 200 assists. And Happ, the second tip, run down by Lean Ford, and the Badgers have it underway here from Madison.
See Brad Davison running the point with Trice being out with a foot injury.
Ford's been hot from the field. Down low, Ethan Happ got it back and fouled. That's where the Badgers will look to go time and time again. UMass Lowell, not a deep nor a big team, and Happ will shoot 2.
And Ethan Happ and Brad Davison were the 2 players that I saw after shoot-around that stayed around and worked on their game this afternoon. And that's one thing Greg Gard told me, that he wants to see from his veteran players. These guys show the commitment, put the time in. And we're going to talk this afternoon about a couple of these guys that are not seeing the kind of minutes in large part because of that.
Ethan Happ 58% at the line. Splits 2. Iverson crashing in for the rebound. And a fresh 30 for the Badgers. Junior from Delaware, Ohio, Khalil Iverson. Now Happ guarded by the much smaller Jihad Thomas. Fritzl got his defender up. That's a deep 2.
That's exactly what Brevin Fritzl can do for Wisconsin, although Greg Gard's looking for a little bit more. What else can you deliver for him this afternoon?
So coming off an 11-point game, UMass Lowell, a team that will score and can score, averaging around 80 points per game.
Yeah, Patrick kept saying they don't want to get in a half-court game. They want to run as much as possible.
Inside, off the glass, no, good defense. Josh Gantz, the miss. And now Davison. Slip it to Happ. Ford, the last 3 games, has hit 9 threes. Goes back underneath to Iverson as he muscles and scores.
No debate among Wisconsin that Khalil Iverson is their best athlete. So he's the kind of player that you're going to see be able to move along the baseline like that.
Tied a career high 17 points last time out. Good look, but Gantz, the miss. And 1 and done for the Riverhawks. UMass Lowell last played a week ago, losing by 3 to Central Connecticut. Happ inside. Badgers going inside. early. And Ethan Happ with 3.
What they're looking for out of him is also to become a little bit more of a vocal leader, especially with Trice sideline in the next couple of weeks.
Here's the aforementioned Jahad Thomas, and that one rolls through.
I mean, you can see how undersized he is, and he's going to have to do that against a much taller Ethan Happ. But in their league, in the America East, you can get away with that a lot more than you could, obviously, in the Big Ten.
Thomas has led the Riverhawks in scoring and rebounding the last 3 years. True senior from Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Happ around Thomas, too easy.
I mean, this is a monster mismatch, and so this is the kind of game where Happ has to take advantage of it. Demand and command the basketball.
Asking Pat Duquette before the game, once Thomas, or I should say Happ, gets the ball inside, will you double him? And he said, we'll try. He was too quick that time. And now a turnover, traveling violation on Ryan Jones. UMass Lowell turning the ball over at a high percentage, around 14 times per game.
So what teams want to get out of the games like this, these bye games? A team like UMass Lowell, as Duquette was telling us, I mean, we want to improve out of this because we open up against Vermont, one of the favorites in the America East. So show improvement out of this game. That's what they're looking for.
Iverson against Gantz with the right hand, block tipped into the hands of Ryan Jones. Good defensive stand that time from UMass Lowell. Thomas, baseline to Gantz, challenging Happ and scores.
Well, that was initiated by Jones, who is essentially the guy that needs to run this team. And when he's good, the Riverhawks say they're good. When he struggles, they struggle. So keep an eye on his development today.
Sorry, Eddie Gantz did not play last season due to a broken leg. He's a redshirt junior from Grove City, Ohio. Comes out high, sets the screen for Davison. No slash, and left it low for Iverson in a turnover. Back come the Riverhawks in transition. Renardo Perry attacking the glass off the turnover. That's a 3-point game.
Well, that's exactly what the Riverhawks have to do. Capitalize, push it as quickly as possible. That's their opportunity to be able to score if they can score in transition.
And now foul called on Renardo Perry. That takes us to a timeout. Wisconsin up early, 9-6. Ethan Happ already today with 5. Early on at BTN, the Badgers lead by 3. Early on here on BTN, Wisconsin leading UMass Lowell by a score of 9-6. With that, we welcome you courtside, everybody, and Happy New Year alongside Andy Katz. I'm Corey Provis. 14 games in, Wisconsin 500. Haven't been 500, 14 games in, Andy, in a long time, going back to 01-02.
Yeah, this is uncharted territory for this modern-day Wisconsin program. Not when I was in school, but certainly this group of Badgers over the last 19 seasons. And you could point to a lot of different reasons. A younger team, lacking a lot of veteran leadership, a lot of injuries early, a very difficult schedule, and not able to close out games. But the reality is they're in this situation at 7-7. The Big Ten, which we'll talk about this afternoon, is a little jumbled, so they have other opportunities. But this is a team still searching for its identity, especially until they get healthy. And they're not going to have Kobe King back. He's done for the season, but they will get Trice back at some point in the Big Ten.
Foul was on Gantz. Only 3 team fouls on the Riverhawks. Team will play mostly man today. Happ, double team, now Pritzel. He'll try and create. Had a good look, couldn't finish. And Thomas clears. In transition, quick pop for 3. And that one goes for Matt Harris, senior from Erie, PA. And boy, did that great city get buried by snow. And now we're tied at 9.
Well, Thomas has been in double figures every game for the Riverhawks. As we said, he is the motor for this group.
Riverhawks have made their last 4 from the field. Aleem Ford inside, left it short. Happ the tip into the hands, though, of Ryan Jones.
Grigor won't be happy about only getting essentially 1 shot out of that possession, especially when they've got the height advantage against the Riverhawks.
Speaking of height, freshman center Nate Reavers will check in at the next whistle. 6'10", 215 from Lakeville, Minnesota. Happ, great defense, nowhere to go for Gantz. Now 5 to shoot. Offensive foul will be called on a shove. And that's going to be on Jahad Thomas.
Number 10, Thomas is first, the team's 4.
There's the offensive foul on Thomas, trying to create some space, but he's got the physicality to be able to do that. All right, so Nate Reuvers coming in, had a great trip this summer to Australia, and then at the beginning of practice, Greg Gard's like, where is he? Is he on the court? He's basically essentially disappeared, but now he's back in the good graces, makes the right passes within their system, not intimidated by any kind of pressure, but in an ideal world, they wanted to redshirt him, not able to with these limited numbers.
Playing in just his 10th game this season is Reuvers. Davison flying start offensively, not anymore.
There's Davison. You can see it with the shoulder wrap that he's wearing. It's popped out 5 times. Once in practice, 2 against Chicago State, once against Virginia, once against Baylor. Told me it's sore, but not a lot of pain right now.
The Chicago State game happened 90 seconds in the first time, just last time out. There's Gantz attacking Reuvers and scoring with the right hand. Talking to Brad before the game today about it, he laughed it off. He said, look, I know it's there, but I go through all the tests, and I know what I have to do physically, mentally to prepare each and every day, and he's going to play through that right now.
Yeah, they popped it back against Virginia right off the court against Baylor. But, look, Wisconsin told me the strength and conditioning staff is not going to put him on the floor unless he passes strength tests, the doctors, I should say, right after they pop it back, and he's passed it every time. Now, he will have surgery after the season. He did tell me that.
Offensive rebound, second chance. Pritzel along the baseline. No good. Tipped around, and a whistle and a foul. And that's going to be called on UMass Lowell. Badgers have had some great looks, but now Jahad Thomas, there's a big story, his second foul. And the team's 5th. So does he stay in with 2 fouls? Not even 7 minutes in. For now, the answer is yes. And UMass Lowell's not a very deep team anyway.
Right, I don't think there's a decision here for Patrick that he's got to keep him on the floor. He's going to trust him that he'll be able to play through, these next, I don't know if it's the rest of the half, but he's going to have to play through it.
See Jahad Thomas, how key he is for the Riverhawks. And he mentioned that Vermont expected to win the America East. UMass Lowell preseason pick tied for 6th in that 9-team league.
And as a provisional member, they were picked last 4 times, never finished below 5th. So what that meant is they played a real schedule in the America East.
Iverson, nice pass to Reuvers in the 2-hand finish. Well, the Badger lead is 2.
We got a good crowd here. They were a little frozen the first 7 minutes.
Here's Thomas, spins baseline, and he is fouled by Alex Ilakanen. Grand Rapids, Minnesota, his first.
Nice pass inside. See, that's part of the system. Finding Reuvers for the slam, being in the right place. It does take a while to warm up. Get the ice rink underneath here.
So Thomas at the line shooting 2, but Andy back at his alma mater today. Back here in Madison.
Always a pleasure when I would come back for years as a reporter and also to speak and talk to the University of Wisconsin Journalism School and Communications Department. But loving being back here sitting in this seat for Big Ten Network.
And just a tease for you folks, if you wondered what Andy looked like during his time at Madison, just wait. Just you wait. We've got a great visual coming up. Pritzel up top, the miss. Ilakanen with the rebound. A chance here for McRory. And the walk-on's 3 doesn't go. Wisconsin good looks, but no points.
Now trust us, there are a lot of fans here. You just don't give them.
Well, the miss, that was for the lead. Diane Noel, reigning America East Rookie of the Week player. Curl inside, well read by Noel, but could not save it in play. It'll stay with the Badgers and 21 to shoot.
Back into the Badgers, Ethan Happ.
Subs coming back in for Wisconsin. Davis and Happ return. Reuvers and Pritzel come out. Lean Ford also back in, and Khalil Iverson will depart.
What's going to be interesting here is I think Greg Gard is searching for the energy guys because he was concerned against Marquette and Ohio State, 2 home games that they lost right here. They just didn't have the energy. He looked at his team in the huddle multiple times, and it wasn't there. That's not Wisconsin basketball.
Badgers have won their last 3, Andy. They're scoring. They're shooting the ball well, averaging 81 points per game. Happ, great moves inside. Connor Bennett played good defense, but the offense was better.
But their concern is on the defensive aspect of the court because they gave up too many points against Chicago State. That's un-Wisconsin-like, and that's what they have to correct before they start Big Ten play again.
82-70 the score from that Chicago State game. Badgers won here on Wednesday. And 5 players in double figures. And now contact and a blocking foul called on Davison, a guy that leads the world in charges draw. That time whistled for the block. Lake Mendota all frozen up today. 4-point game on BTN. Well, we checked social media, and many were wondering, can you show the picture?
All right, here I am. If I can get us here. There I am right there. Okay, this is at the Daily Cardinal in probably 87, 88. I still don't understand why I was wearing glasses. I had contacts. Those glasses were really huge, big 80s glasses. But that staff at the Daily Cardinal went on to great things, I would have to say. You know, I did as well. But on that staff, by the way, as well, was the late, great Anthony Shadid from the Washington Post, New York Times. Tragically passed away in Syria a couple of years ago. But an unbelievable reporter, writer that I learned a lot about in this business and life. And I learned so much, I would say, at Vilas Hall, at the Daily Cardinal. No offense, but more than in the classroom. I hope professors are not listening. But I just learned a lot more about life in there. And loved every second that I was here on campus and loved coming back.
Well, welcome back.
Still don't know why I was wearing glasses. And I was the sports editor, and I'm wearing the Wisconsin sweatshirt. It's so stereotypical.
Ethan Happ now with 9.
Did you notice one guy smoking? I don't remember who that was.
Yeah, it looked a little like our boss, Mark Holsey, but we'll talk about that at another time. Down underneath, whistle and a foul. Connor Bennett will shoot 2. Foul is on Alex Illikainen, his second. And the team's 3rd. Now the Badgers, after today, Big Ten play resumes for everyone. Wrapping up non-conference play this weekend. Wisconsin will take on Indiana here on Tuesday. Badgers so far to Greg Gard 1-1. They play losing to Ohio State, winning at Penn State.
And I will tell you, and Greg and I talked about this, splitting those 2 December games, that's just going to be what you absolutely have to do going forward in the Big Ten, because you're going to have these first weekend December games of the Big Ten. If you go 0-2, you're in a deep hole waiting 3 weeks till it happens. And Greg was telling me they had the Big Ten meetings. They went around the room and talked about that. Has anyone ever experienced this before? They said Fran McCaffrey rose his hand, said, yeah, I did. Raised his hand at Siena. He's 0-2. So he knows what it's about.
3 Big Ten teams, 0-2 so far. That's out of bounds. Last touch by the Riverhawks. Will stay with Ethan Happ and the Badgers. But 3 Big Ten teams, 0-2. Rutgers, Illinois, and the aforementioned Iowa Hawkeyes, all 0-2.
And the thing you have to remember is, because of the restart in the Big Ten, all these schools still have a shot. You know, if you win the right games, maybe go 12-6, win the right ones, you're still going to be in the picture. So they're calling it the restart here.
Aleem Ford for 3, and that's been a hot hand for the Badgers last 3 games. He's connected on 9 of 12 from 3, adding to that, knocking that one down from the corner. Ford, a guy at 6'8", 215, that's played some of the 4 spot for this Wisconsin team.
Well, he's had to. I mean, that's been the problem right now for Wisconsin, because of essentially poor defensive rebounding from Andy Van Vliet, Charlie Thomas, and Alex Illikainen. So they've gone with Aleem Ford because, as Greg said, they needed a better defender, and so it's been him. And now he's making shots.
Gaining some early minutes here today, but on the bench right now, 2 fouls. Back inside, Ethan Happ with 9. And still with 9. Still battling, and now it's Bennett that pulls it down. Some drama there on the rim. Into the corner, Sean Jones. And that's Lowell quiet in the field last few minutes. And that pass goes nowhere. Turnover. Number 3 on John Thomas and the Riverhawks. Go back to Wisconsin.
But here's Ethan Happ staying with the play, just trying to find that angle.
Happ 9 points, 3 rebounds. The only major conference player averaging at least 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists.
But there's something to be said, Corey, for being the third option. He was not the primary option in the last couple of years, and now you're thrust into that role. And not everyone is prepared for that.
Underneath and adding to his strong first half. Happ now with 11.
But he's accepting it now, and he has to be, because he's the primary scoring option, especially with Trice out of the lineup. And Kobe King, who was going to develop into, I think, maybe their second or third best scorer.
Nice move there from Ryan Jones, junior from Rio Rancho, New Mexico.
Oh, it was just there.
Family in New Mexico.
Yeah, Lowell's got some interesting locations. Joey Nacarado from Idaho. You don't think Lowell, Idaho, do you?
No. No, not from there out to UMass Lowell. Still to come, the big day of hoops on BTN continues. 2 more games, Michigan and Jacksonville. Then tonight, Lipscomb and Purdue. It's all still to come tonight here on BTN and streaming live at BTN To Go and Fox Sports Go. Minnesota winning earlier today here on BTN, knocking off Harvard by 10.
Gophers still not healthy, Corey.
And Nate Mason did not play today. Davison knocks down the 3. He has 5 points.
You know, I asked Brad before the game, he's a great quarterback in high school. You know, did he ever have an injury? He said once he had a wrist thing, but never a shoulder. So this is new territory for him.
Gantz the miss, Pritzel the rebound. UMass Lowell now 1 of 5 from 3. An 11-point Wisconsin lead. Davison's pass tipped and a turnover. Grabbed by Ryan Jones. That's the second Wisconsin turnover. Mention the name Charles Thomas. He's going to check in for Wisconsin at the next whistle. He's at the scorer's table right now. Clock getting late. It's at 5 for Ryan Jones. Entry pass tipped and a foul. And that's on Davison. That's his second. And sure enough, that is the call. Davison 2 fouls, but before that last whistle, Davison from the corner, and the Badgers lead by 11. Let's look at the state capitol, not far from the Kohl Center on this cold Saturday. Wisconsin leading.
Is that a live Badger?
Whatever works today, stay warm.
Yes.
25-14. Badgers a big day today, and of course tonight the Orange Bowl looming. South Florida tonight. Wisconsin taking on Miami. Big Ten has been tremendous so far. We're in the bowl season, and hopefully that trend continues again tonight. Davison on the bench with 2 fouls. The left hand off the mark for Stefan Horovats. And a collision near the Wisconsin bench. Charles Thomas helped up to his feet.
You see Charlie Thomas there. I mean, he's a physical specimen. Just squashes him, okay? If he can learn the skills, or if he can improve his skill set, that's what the Badger staff needs him to do. He can get on the floor more and really help this team, because look at his size.
That down to Thomas.
He's a little glass. That's what he has to do.
I like he phrased that, though, Big Ten size, and that's an area that Wisconsin is concerned about, right? Entering conference play, how they're going to match up against some of the bigger teams in league play.
Right, but Greg Gard's not going to use players who can't help him defensively and on the backboard. Charles Thomas could.
Gives the miss, and Thomas the rebound.
Yes. Multiple possessions in a row there. You know, especially right now with Happ out of the game. Where's the scoring going to come from? Davison out of the game.
Reavers, the freshman, with the 5 with Happ on the bench. And now Khalil Iverson. Leaves it for Reavers. He passed up a shot. Reavers underneath. Scores anyway.
Use your advantage inside. This is what Pat Duquette was concerned about. That's why they want to get this game up and down if they want to have a shot.
Wisconsin shooting 54% from the field and getting many point-blank looks right near the basket. That's a contested 2, and it goes for Josh Gantz. He has 6. Happ will check back in next whistle. First ever meeting between these two programs.
Well, UMass Lowell actually has never played a Big Ten school. They do have wins over Fordham in the A-10, BC in the ACC. But what's been good when they were in provisional, they've not tried to just basically go out and play a million bye games. They try to limit it around 2. Build confidence. Play teams within their region in the Northeast.
Jones in the paint. Now Renardo Perry.
Let me correct myself. They have not beaten a Big Ten school. They have, yeah, they did play Indiana last year. In fact, Pat Duquette told me that was one of his favorite places to go. They did beat Fordham and they did beat BC.
13-point Wisconsin lead. Reavers for 2. That's off the mark. You look at Nate Reavers, 6'10", and he's attempted before today's 16 threes, and it's almost a guarantee. Outside of Ethan Happ, though, with a left hand no and a foul, that if you're a Wisconsin big, you have to have range, right? That's been just the makeup of this program for so many years. You can run through all the different names about all the bigs Wisconsin has had, and they have to be able to expand their game more than near the rim. Now Happ, he's doing just fine shooting right around the basket.
Although when he was here this afternoon, he was taking all mid-range to deep shots.
Kaminsky and Bruzewicz and Burke. I mean, you can go on and on with the bigs that they've had. They've had great range. And now Pritzl whistled for the foul.
The Wisconsin fouls on Brevin Pritzl. That's his first.
That's his first. 16 fouls now apiece. Under 4 to play in the half.
Yeah, Pritzl's sort of been in and out of the starting lineup this season. A lot of that had to do with the injuries.
The last touch by Wisconsin will take a timeout. 29-16. Happy New Year from Madison. Well, later tonight, the big show is all the highlights from a busy day of Big Ten basketball, plus a complete recap and full analysis of the Badgers' Orange Bowl game with Miami later on tonight. The big show tonight, 11 Eastern, right here on BTN. Well, around college basketball today, we began with 3 unbeaten teams. Andy, we're down to 2.
Yeah, TCU loses 90-89 to Oklahoma. Trey Young, the odds-on favorite right now to win National Player of the Year, had 39 points and 14 assists. Unbelievable. He's had a phenomenal season. Arizona State at Arizona tonight, and Villanova right now is playing at Butler. And they're up 26-23 with about 8 minutes left to go in the first half.
They mentioned Arizona State. Bobby Hurley right now, National Coach of the Year.
I'd say he's the favorite.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone had him top 5.
4th turnover on UMass Lowell. Pat Duquette, in his 5th year, 50 and 79, comes from a very prominent family. That last name, if you're a baseball fan, should sound very familiar. The younger brother of Jim Duquette, cousin is Dan Duquette, GM of the Baltimore Orioles.
Jim was the GM of the Mets and with the Red Sox Expos prior in his career.
Pritzl pops for 3. That's now his first 3. Pritzl with 5. Badgers now 3 of 6 from 3 as a team today.
Little rivalry in their family because Dan Duquette went to Amherst. Pat went to Williams.
In the paint, Ryan Jones knocks it down, his 2nd field goal. Conference play looms next for Pat Duquette and his program. They'll take on Vermont on Thursday. Ethan Happ, 11 points, 3 rebounds. Aleem Ford, and that's a 3. Ford now with 6. He has connected now in 11 of his last 14 3-point attempts.
And these first-year guys on the court, really give a lot of hope to this Wisconsin program.
Looks a trip, no whistle. Takes the deep three, and now he'll drive and is fouled. With 2:14 to play in the half. Stay tuned. The State Farm halftime report is coming up. Dave Revson, Deion Thomas, and former Badger Ben Rust in the studio today. State Farm halftime report coming up in just a bit from our studios in Chicago. 1-1 here for Fritzl.
Other Big Ten news, Brian McIntosh of Northwestern went down today, and according to Northwestern, MRI tomorrow on the left knee, status unknown. Obviously, we hope that he's going to be okay. The Wildcats desperately need his leadership on the court for them to return to the NCAA tournament.
Now, speaking of injuries, and this came out yesterday, Justin Jackson out for the season. Talented sophomore from Maryland. His numbers were down from last year, but a shoulder injury ending his season. That will mean what for Maryland?
Well, I mean, they needed all the experience they could get. I still like them, though, and we're going to talk about sort of the tiers in the Big Ten at some point this afternoon. But that hurts them. There's no question about it. There's a lot of questions about a lot of teams in the league, but all potential solvable.
Entry pass deflected and a turnover. Third turnover on Wisconsin. Skip pass in the corner for three. That's short. Matt Harris. And Wisconsin has owned the glass today. The Badgers 19 rebounds to 9 for UMass Lowell. And now Wisconsin calling a timeout with a minute 19 to go in the half. The guard will bring his team over. 37 to 18. 30-second timeout.
You know, for Wisconsin, what they need to do out of this game is, in the second half, Greg Gard's going to want to make sure that their defense is just locked in before they rejoin the Big Ten with their game against Indiana. Because if they're going to have a chance to make a postseason run, whether it's NCAA, NIT, whatever will happen, they have to defend the way they normally do, and they certainly have to rebound. The guard play is going to happen, you know, at some point here, because Trice told me this afternoon that foot surgery, that he thinks he's going to come back around January 15, 16, which is that Purdue game, and then Illinois at home. So you're not going to have Trice. There he is on the bench for the next three. Home Indiana, at Rutgers, at Nebraska. Highly unlikely that he's back before those three, and you could argue that Wisconsin could win maybe 2 or 3 of those.
Reavers underneath. He'll slam that one down. You know, thinking about that Big Ten schedule for Wisconsin, January, most of the games on the road, but February, as the calendar flips to February, they'll see the majority of their Big Ten games here at home.
Yeah, but you got to make sure that those games matter for them at the end of the month of February. And look, they're going to have great opportunities. Michigan, Purdue, Minnesota, Michigan State, all at home. The one road game at Northwestern. Those are all potential tournament teams that you could get wins against that will help your resume.
Harris now with 5. Reavers trying to set up underneath instead. Collects it up high, and now McGrory, the walk-on. Pass deflected. Fritzl has to fire, does from the corner, and it goes. His second three. The Badgers 5 of 8 from 3 as a team this half.
That's what he's on the floor for. Make big-time shots, especially threes.
Final 5 seconds from Madison here in the first half with 2 on the drive. Lowell doesn't get the shot off in time, and that's the first 20 from the Kohl Center. Wisconsin shooting nearly 57% from the field, hitting 5 of 8 from 3. Happ 11, Fritzl 10 for the Badgers. Wisconsin wrapping up its non-conference schedule today, leading UMass Lowell 42-20 at the break. Stay tuned. The State Farm halftime report from Chicago is next. We are just about ready for the start of the second half, and the Badgers leading UMass Lowell by a score of 42-20. Nice look up Library Mall here in the great city of Madison, Wisconsin. And with that, we welcome you back courtside, everybody. Happy New Year alongside Andy Katz. I'm Corey Provis. A terrific first half for the Badgers. Defensively, but offensively, shooting nearly 57% from the field.
But they've done this before, as in earlier this week. They were up big against Chicago State, almost an identical halftime score. But then they get outscored in the second half. What Wisconsin has to do right now is put their foot on the throat of UMass Lowell and extend this lead. Win by 30. Go with big-time momentum into that Indiana game against Big Ten. Don't let Lowell get back into this game, get confidence, and suddenly it's under 10 or, 5 or something like that.
Badgers start the second half with Davison, Pritzel, Ford, Happ, and Iverson. Wisconsin 7-7, UMass Lowell 6-6. Ryan Jones try to leave it for Josh Gantz. And the ball will go to Wisconsin. That was turnover number 6 on the Riverhawks.
Look, if they're going to chip away, you cannot have any kind of empty possession where you don't even get a shot on.
The Riverhawks struggled mightily from three-point land in the first half, 1 of 8 in the opening 20 minutes. Ford knocked down a few threes. Happ double team. Pritzel was hot early, and that continues. Pritzel now with 13, buries his third three.
It's interesting because Greg Gard told me that he thinks Ethan is getting much better reacting out of the double team like that. I mean, he's going to have to do that against the Big Ten, in the Big Ten, because without a complementary other scoring low post player, that might happen quite a bit where they may double him down in the post.
And that was the 200th career assist for Ethan Happ. A milestone assist right there on the Pritzel three. Speaking of threes, that one doesn't go for Ryan Jones, and the rebound comes down to Pritzel. More on what Happ just reached here in a moment. Happ with 11 points.
Comes the double team. Kick it right back out.
Pritzel the miss, and the rebound to UMass Lowell. Good look up top for Gantz. Gantz now with 9. Second made 3 all day for the Riverhawks.
It's interesting. He's a senior academically, but a sophomore eligibility-wise, because he redshirted, then he broke his leg. They're going to try to get a medical redshirt for his 6th season.
Wait until the season is over to apply for that.
Right. And by the way, Kobe King from Wisconsin can get one as well, because had he played in the Marquette game, he wouldn't be eligible. He didn't play in that game.
Lean forward with 8.
Same thing for Trice, but Trice is coming back. King was a kneecap issue, had it surgically repaired.
Thomas off the mark and half the rebound. It's his 4th rebound. Handles the ball so well up the floor. Not too many 6'10" guys can do what he does with the ball in his hands. End-to-end, now foul inside. Well, we mentioned that Ethan Happ was a milestone assist, and it certainly was. Our State Farm assist of the game, a 200th career assist for Ethan Happ. With that, Happ joining a very exclusive club. At least 1,100 career points, 700 rebounds, and now 200 assists. Since the 96-97 season, only 9 Big Ten players have reached those numbers. 1,100 points, 700 rebounds, and now 200 assists. Ethan Happ, the latest in that special group. And there are the names right there. Other Badgers, Nigel Hayes, of course, and Mike Wilkinson, part of that group as well. 47-23 Wisconsin early on, second half here on BTN.
Butch for 3, banked it in! He banked it in!
Great moment there. Brian Butch, the game winner, a member of that team. The assistant coach for Wisconsin, Joe Krabenhoff, was also on that team.
Butch, another one of those bigs that has come through this program, developed into an elite talent, and what they've done a sensational job when they can is they've redshirted these guys.
Ethan Happ now with 13.
They wanted to redshirt a couple more that you're seeing on the floor today, but injuries have prevented that.
Now, the idea of players redshirting came up in a conversation with Greg Gard today. That one is short, and the lean forward the rebound. You know, Bo Ryan forever was known as he let his players choose if they would redshirt or not. And I asked Greg Gard, is the same philosophy still apply? The alley-oop feed. Happy New Year to Khalil Iverson. Davison threw it up. Iverson sent it down. To finish up that thought, though, I asked Greg Gard if the same philosophy applies. He says, yeah, in a way it does, but things have kind of changed this year because of injury.
Right.
And how players who thought maybe would sit out this year in redshirt just out of necessity right now with where the Badgers are at, lacking depth in some areas. Greg Gard has had to make those decisions himself.
Yeah, McGrory's a classic case of that because right before the Marquette game, he was told that, you know, see the alley-oop there from Iverson, from Davison.
Happ the first, and now Iverson the second.
So McGrory wasn't ready to play against Marquette because he essentially was going to be redshirted, but forced into action. The King and Trice injuries were announced the day before.
4 minutes in, second half. Wisconsin up 51-23. Fritzl the miss, got it back. Fritzl with 15 to lead all scores.
He's mad at himself right there. Fritzl, another player who was forced to essentially redshirt because of an injury a couple years ago, right before a game at Syracuse. Got hurt.
Thomas had a good look. Spun out. Wisconsin has outscored UMass Lowell 11-3 this half. Reavers left it short. And the rebound to Josh Gantz. Harris has it rejected. A volleyball spiked to the seats from Khalil Iverson. Now the alley-oop was cool, but this was equally fun to watch. No chance inside. Iverson, the dunk on one end, the swat on the other. Wisconsin up big. Now, Khalil Iverson sparking his Badger team today, offensively, defensively, had the dunk on one end. Now, how about this? The end result was cool with the swap, but he had a leap hurtling over Matt Harris.
Take that out of here.
Hurtling Matt Harris at 6'1".
He wanted to send that to the old field house, all the way down by Camp Randall, which, by the way, was a great old arena. You're nearby the barn up in Minnesota. I saw some great games, maybe not great teams, at the old field house.
Over that seat.
I can tell you, one of the greatest games I ever saw, 1987, triple overtime. Wisconsin loses to Indiana on a Dean Garrett tip-in. That's the year Indiana won the national championship. Mike Heidemann on that team from Wisconsin. I think Tim Locum from Florida, Illinois, had the mullet. Shoot deep. Patrick Tompkins might have been on that team. Danny Jones for sure out of Rockford, Illinois. Coached by Steve Yoder. You had the cracks in the windows during a day game at the field house. The window panes would reflect off the court.
And for the Badgers,
but they needed the Kohl Center. Bob Knight, by the way, very upset that that game ended late. He's covering that for the Daily Cardinal.
But the season ended well for Bob Knight.
Yes.
Keith Smart, right?
Yes.
Syracuse in the championship game. Lean forward the foul. He comes out. And now Thomas and a block and a foul will be called on Illikainen. That's going to be his third.
The Wisconsin foul is on Alex Illikainen, his third, the team's second.
Second team foul. Jihad Thomas. UMass Lowell needed him to play big today. Just 4 points on 2 of 7 shooting. Preseason All-America East selection, Jihad Thomas. First one no good. Well, tomorrow on BTN, Michigan State looks to close out 2017 with a victory. As the Spartans take on Savannah State, the action tips off tomorrow, noon Eastern, right here on BTN. And streaming live at BTN To Go and Fox Sports Go. Your assessment of Michigan State?
Well, I have number one in my NCAA.com Power 36 over Villanova. A tight game right now with Butler. I think the Spartans have all the pieces to compete for the national championship. I mean, they're not relying on Miles Bridges. Langford, Jackson, Nick Ward, Cassius Winston. Have you had a chance to call their game yet?
I have. I saw them earlier in the year. Stony Brook.
Which just knocked off its former head coach, Steve Peichel, at Rutgers. Stony Brook, a member of the America East.
14:20 to go in the game. Greg Gard's team up 53-26.
But this is what they got to do. Don't let them back in.
Well, we mentioned already one unbeaten team went down today. That was TCU. Villanova right now trailing at the field house. Butler leading that game.
And the last unbeaten later tonight. Arizona State at Arizona.
Thomas now with 7. Full court pressure. Applied by UMass Lowell. Knock loose and...
So when you're a provisional member, as Pat Duquette was telling me, you got to have a lot of patience both inside and outside the program because you have to build this thing to get to where you can be competitive at the Division I level. But they've won a lot of games in their 4 years when they were provisional, which means you're not eligible for postseason but can compete in your league. Double-digit wins each year, finishing 5th or 6th, 5th twice, 6th twice. And they've had a great amount of support from their athletic department and the state. They want UMass Lowell to be a destination school.
Davison trapped in the corner, and a jump ball is the call. It'll stay with Wisconsin.
And hockey fans of Wisconsin should know their hockey program has been Division I for quite some time and been very successful.
About that subject, Pat Duquette said it's huge with recruits. In the past, you'd be in a family's home trying to pitch your program, but you couldn't even list an option of postseason play during the transitional period that UMass Lowell was in. Reavers. The Badgers beat the pressure, racing up the floor, and 2 more easy there for Reavers. He has 8. Davison, the tip, the steal. And now his pass deflected, and he...
Did you see how he threw that pass, though? It was a one-handed pass, in large part because he has to lean on the right hand because of the left shoulder. But he's just going to play through. Greg Gard told me there was only one time in the last, 3 weeks where he felt like he was not, I wouldn't say hurting them. Look at that one hand, the finish. He can't even use the left arm, though, to sort of, bridge himself as he's going up. That was all his right hand. You see right here, watch the left shoulder. He dips down, but he doesn't really, just barely uses it up. Because that was all on the strength of his right hand, off his right, going up on that, off the right foot there. I mean, using his right foot to get up. And Greg said there's only one time where he felt maybe he's hurting us just a little in one of these games, but he is such a great leader for them and showing really no pain dealing with this situation, not visibly.
You mentioned Davison being a leader for a freshman. As Thomas, a whistle, and this is going to be an offensive foul on Thomas. That's his 3rd. Just to finish up that thought, though, on Davison, Greg Gard as an assistant coach and now as a head coach, it's been rare that he's had a freshman be this much of a vocal leader. Gosser had seniors. Ben Brust had seniors. Speaking of guards that Greg Gard has been around in recent years, it's rare that he's had a freshman be this vocal, and that the upperclassmen, the few that there are with this Wisconsin team, don't seem to mind.
Well, look, Davison was out here working on his game right after shoot-around, and I think he was one of the first people out here before the game when the players arrived. And Greg was telling me a story about how Devin Harris was that kind of player when he was an assistant here. He was working camp, and he thought a camper had somehow snuck into the gym. It was midnight. He was walking out of here, and he hears the ball bounce, and he goes down, and there's Devin Harris using cones and working on his game. And he says, I'm going to play the guys that are working on their craft. And he actually kind of, no pun intended, used Aaron Kraft as an analogy to Brad Davison. Sees a lot of craft in Davison.
Hasn't drawn a charge yet today, but 17 Davison has drawn already this year. They look for 3 from the wing. That doesn't go for Bernardo Perry. The rebound comes down to Walt McGrory. That's become the backup point guard right now.
Yeah, that Marquette game was a bit of a wash because those injuries happened the day before.
Davison has it rejected by Noel. Wisconsin keeps it, and a blocking foul called on the Riverhawks inside. Our State Farm assist of the game we saw earlier.
Welcome back to the Kohl Center, where Wisconsin is off to a 57-28 lead here with about 12 minutes left to go in the second half. All right, let's take a look at my Big Ten outlook as we get set to restart the Big Ten. So here are my clear favorites. I've got Michigan State and Purdue. I don't think anyone's going to debate me on that, Corey. Those are the two clear favorites to win the Big Ten regular season title. I'm feeling good about Michigan, even though Mo Wagner's been a little bit banged up at times. I was high on Illinois, even though they're losing right now to Grand Canyon. You know, there's teams that I'm still perplexed by. You know, one of which is Northwestern. Not defending the way they did. Chris Collins said that when I saw him after the Valpo game. In their sort of elite games, they've not been able to sort of deal with, defensively. I mean, that's been their issue. That's the team I'm perplexed by, okay? And we're going to wait and see what happens to Bryant McIntosh. MRI tomorrow on the left knee. Down on Rutgers and Penn State. Penn State, you can't lose to Rider at home. Rutgers, you beat Seton Hall, then you lose to Stony Brook and Hartford. The jury's still out on Iowa and Nebraska, and I'm giving an incomplete to Wisconsin. Why? Because of Kobe King's injury, now out for the season, and Trice, who they're going to get back. So let's judge them once they get their starting point guard back healthy, and then let's see.
59-28.
Peanut gallery?
Well, here's what I'm thinking there. The Maryland one without Justin Jackson. Does that change your outlook on Maryland? Are you still high on Maryland, or now do you have to look at things differently as they're going to be missing a key player?
Well, I still love Anthony Cowan and Kevin Herter.
Yeah.
I think that 1-2 punch is good enough to keep them right in that middle group. So I'm going to still feel good about them.
And with Illinois, there's some young elements with that team. Mark Smith, though, a freshman, I think
Frazier
really
has played really well for them. Laurent Black, he had the hyperextension of his elbow, so I would say that, he's back playing. Now, look, New Mexico State was a loss in Chicago, but they proved they're pretty good by beating USC. Excuse me, losing to USC, but beating Miami in the Diamond Head Classic.
And Ethan Happ whistled for a walk.
Indiana's the other one. Jury's still out. Where do they fit in? Hoosiers losing to Fort Wayne at Indiana State earlier in the season. Beating Notre Dame. Not quite sure yet. Still way premature to give you a number of bids and all that kind of stuff.
Mentioned Indiana, they'll be here on Tuesday night, a whistle and a foul. Well, you saw Greg Gard there a moment ago, and with Big Ten play, yes, we've seen 2 games, but it begins, or resumes, I should say, here in just a few days, and worth watching a couple of very significant streaks in jeopardy for the Badgers this season. 19 straight NCAA tournament appearances, that's one. Then 17 consecutive years of at least a top 4 finish in the Big Ten.
If you're going to put me on the spot, I'm going to say that second one is not going to continue.
They'll be outside the top 4.
I think they'll be outside the top 4. Not giving up yet on the 19 straight, making it 20, in large part because they have opportunities, especially if they can survive the first third to 2/3 of this Big Ten schedule, because Michigan, Purdue, Minnesota, Michigan State, those are 4 of their final 5 games at the Kohl Center. You win 3 of 4 of those, maybe you're on the bubble. We'll see.
It's beating the upper tier.
Yes.
Big Ten
It's
teams.
not the number of Big Ten wins you have to get. It's who you beat to get them, especially in an unbalanced schedule.
In transition, Iverson went up, stripped and fouled.
And it will help that they have, it will help that they have the road win at Penn State. Look, Greg Gard said we overscheduled. There's no question we overscheduled. The Xavier series is part of the Gavitt Challenge. They had the road game at Temple that had been pushed off this season. Game, by the way, they thought they should have won. The 2 games in Kansas City, thought they should have beaten UCLA. And that's why getting a split in those first 2 Big Ten games was critical for them, actually winning the one on the road. But losing at home to Marquette, Xavier, and Ohio State, that's not the norm here in Madison. So you got to win some games back.
And if you look back at some of those losses, where did Wisconsin lose? Where were they hurt? Dribble penetration was a big culprit.
And decision-making late.
Happ the near block, the miss, and Ford the rebound, a lead forward, 8 points, and now 5 rebounds for the redshirt freshman. And Happ cut off and fouled. That's on the guy Lowell. His second. A team foul, so free throws upcoming here for Ethan Happ. Happ 15 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Misses the front end, but Iverson the offensive rebound. Fresh 30. Now for Wisconsin. Fritzl left it low, maybe too low. Iverson, though, saved it to Ethan Happ. Had a great feed initially, but Iverson able to keep the ball in his hands, and then one more feed to Happ, and he has 17.
Good body control right there on that play.
And now he's on the floor, and a turnover.
But see, that's what you want to see from your leader. He may not be the most vocal player, so you see it then by the way he reacts to the 50-50 balls.
From the wing for 3. For the miss. And a rebound to Noel. And now Thomas tripped and fouled. Well, Ethan Happ, 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists. You see the only major conference player, as we mentioned earlier, to lead the team in all those categories.
I'll tell you something else Ethan Happ is doing. There's a great story on the Wisconsin website. After every game, he will sign and donate a pair of his size 15 sneakers that he had sort of built up in his home closet. And he decided, what am I going to do with these size 15s? Don't want to just throw them away, give them away. And so they've created this program where they've been in contact with community centers, various special needs children. They're going to have each game someone come by, a child that is going to receive this pair of signed sneakers from Ethan Happ. And here's an example where he's done this, win or lose, and they've lost 3 games at home. And Ethan actually says this kind of grounds him right after the game. He's going to do this before he gets into the locker room. You can see that he's really put a lot of smiles on kids' faces in the community. And there was one time where they actually did it through social media, and they said, okay, let me see who's going to be the biggest Badger fan. Who wants a pair of the signed sneakers? So a great gesture by Ethan Happ to sort of give back here to the fan base and reaching out. You can see that it's meant a lot to those that have received the pairs of sneakers from
Yeah, some kids who have never seen a Badger basketball game before get a chance to come to a game and also meet Ethan Happ and leave with a keepsake, but a memory that they'll take with them forever. It's a great young man. Good to see that kind of character. Ethan Happ leading on and off the floor. Nice move. Got Iverson, or I should say, Ford up. But Jones couldn't finish, and now this will go the other way with 8:51 to go.
The UMass Lowell foul is on number 3, Stefan Borovats, his 3rd.
Stefan Borovats, the foul, his 3rd. See Sean Jones, junior from Bridge City, Louisiana, transferred from Howard College in Texas.
Badgers, a lead 4.
Look, this program does it the right way. There was a lot of negative things going on in college basketball to start the season. You're not going to hear about that here. They know who they are. They know which players fit. And they're okay with their own identity and making sure they get the right recruits that are going to develop. As we've talked about, they will redshirt if they have to.
And that doesn't happen around the country. We were chatting earlier during a commercial break. Jones the Mish about players redshirting. That's not too common outside of a player being injured for programs to do that now.
Yeah, elite programs don't recruit to redshirt unless there's an injury. I mean, you're not going to see Duke do it.
Austin now 3-on-3. Harris for 3 from the wing. Senior from Erie, Pennsylvania. Harris now with 8, knocks down his second 3.
Lowell is here to improve. So they're going to keep running. pushing the basketball. They got a big game coming up against Vermont in the America East, Vermont and Albany. Two teams that should be picked 1-2 in some order as the America East gets going. I mean, look, Stony Brook and Hartford just knocked off a Big Ten team in Rutgers. Albany played Louisville very well. By the way, great gesture by Vermont earlier this season to name the basketball court after Tom Brennan, longtime Vermont coach, with the iconic victory over Syracuse in the NCAA
First
tournament.
round.
Yes.
Was it back in
Like
what,
TV.
04, 05, around there?
And on the bench for Lowell, Tom O'Shea, who played for Tom Brennan. Tom telling me that he was at the court naming on December 11th. His brother Tim, longtime head coach at Bryant, former BC assistant, as was Pat Duquette, former BC players on the bench, Biko Paris, excuse me, and Lewis Hinnett.
Foul whistled on Reavers. And that is going to be his second on a chilly day in Madison, but the Badgers still warm inside. Lead big on BTN. Welcome back to Madison. Even in the snow and the cold, Camp Randall's still a great sight. Good luck to Paul Chris and the Badgers. Tonight, the Orange Bowl from South Florida, Wisconsin, and Miami coming up later on tonight.
Can we catch a flight down there?
We got time. In this town, you have contacts all over. By the way, if you're wondering, this may hurt for those watching here in the Midwest. Yes, it's -1. 73 in Miami right now. But you know what? It's a -1 today in Wisconsin, but the sun's out. Still feels okay. Not great, but okay.
Is this a dry cold?
Yeah, it's dry cold.
That's a humid 73, right? Not a dry,
Yeah,
dry heat.
right. As play resumes, Josh Gantz has a team high 13 for the Riverhawks.
TJ Schlunt getting some quality minutes now. Another one of those players that was on the scout team and injuries forced him to be playing quite a bit more.
Thomas the miss. Iverson, man, he could get up high. And he was fouled. Will Iverson showing his ability here in the second half. Well, next Sunday, BTN's original series, The Journey, is back with an all-access view of life on and off the court throughout the Big Ten. Don't miss the season premiere of The Journey, Big Ten Basketball 2018, presented by Gatorade. Next Sunday, 10 Eastern, right here on BTN. That is must-watch programming every week. Football, basketball, you name it. The Journey is phenomenal.
And I'll tell you what I'm really looking forward to. Did you see the tease for the sort of docudrama on Northwestern's Miracle Run last year?
Yes. Yes, I did. During the tournament, yeah.
That looks great. Can't wait for that to come out.
Called First Dance, and great look. And the emotion and what that meant to so many.
A little cameo by Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Right now, and
her son finally scored.
Charlie.
You see when he put the one kind of Wilt Chamberlain-esque.
I'm thinking about Julia Louis-Dreyfus, her battle with cancer right now. Under 6 to play. Under 10 to shoot. Now Ford behind the back with 3. Lets it go. Short and good defensive sequence that time for the Riverhawks. Cannon will check back in for Wisconsin next whistle. Happ on the bench. Davison on the bench right now. Schlunt defending. Gantz to miss. Wisconsin with the ball.
Not many people have left because let's hope their car starts.
Britzel. And he got away with the step. No, he did not.
He didn't.
Edwin Young saw that.
For the Badgers,
9th turnover for Wisconsin today. Britzel 15 points, 6 rebounds. It's his first turnover. To 3 threes.
So Alex Ilkanen in the game, and Ilkanen, Charlie Thomas, Andy Van Vliet, these are the players that they expect a little bit more out of at that position. And basically, whoever can be consistent defensively with their effort on the backboard, that's the player that's going to play some minutes in that position behind Aleem Ford in the Big Ten. I mean, in this instance, you got both Ilkanen and Thomas on the floor right now.
Gantz the miss, Pritzel the rebound. Now Schlunt, Andy mentioned him, the redshirt junior from Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. Appearing in his 9th game.
I mean, with Davis's shoulder situation, I'd be shocked if he goes back in. There's no reason to chance that popping out again. Solid effort. Looks like he's going to put on his warm-up.
7 points, 6 assists today for Brad Davison. Maple Grove, Minnesota. Schlunt the miss, and Wisconsin, they have done that all day. They've owned the glass. Thomas using that strength inside.
Wisconsin's going to need that in the Big Ten.
Thomas now with 4. Under 4 to play. Badgers on their way to their 8th win. Thomas is fouled by Schlunt. That will take us to a timeout in Madison. 3:53 to go. Greg Gard's team up 70-42. All right, Dave, thank you. So Michigan coming up next. Then tonight, our 4th and final game will be Purdue and Lipscomb from West Lafayette.
By the way,
Lipscomb, Minnesota won.
Lipscomb is actually going to be a great power rating game for Purdue. They're going to win. I'm going to project that right now. I still want people to watch, but I'm going to say Lipscomb is a team that plays a great schedule in their region, and they actually have a pretty good power rating. So that's a good game for Purdue to play right before the restart of the Big Ten.
Matt Harris, 3. That's his 3rd made 3 today. Wisconsin, in the first half, shot nearly 57% from the field. Still shooting 53% right now, late here in the second half.
I think Greg's going to be very pleased with the overall 40-minute effort. It wasn't so much against Chicago State because they let him back in the second half.
TJ Schlunt knocks down his 4th 3 of the year. Former walkout, now on scholarship. Hits the deck, took a shoulder from Jihad Thomas, and this will be an offensive foul. That's the 4th foul on Jihad Thomas.
Remember, he picked up those 2 very quickly in the first half, and Pat Duquette had no choice but to keep him in the game at the time when they were within striking distance.
The Badgers as a team, with that charge taken, now have drawn 30 of those this season as a team. Now Davison responsible for 17 of the drawn charges, and none bigger than probably the Western Kentucky game. How that wild game ended as Pritzel knocks down a 3, and that's a new career high for Brevin Pritzel, now with 18 points.
By the way, you mentioned that Western Kentucky game. That's a home and home, and it was part of a football deal. So Western Kentucky plays Wisconsin in football. They got to do a home and home in basketball. This happens at times when a football team needs a team to come in a non-conference bye game. Sometimes they have the basketball team play a home and home. I've seen this before. And so next season, Wisconsin has to go to Western Kentucky. Also has to go to Xavier, return to that Gavitt game series. They're going to be at home in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. They're done with the Temple series, but they're in the battle for Atlantis. And they're going to be at Marquette. So it's going to be a challenging schedule next season for a team that's going to be much better because essentially the whole team comes back.
Up to 20 games, of course, as you know by now, for next year in the Big Ten. 20 conference games loom, 18 this year. 2 more for TJ Schlunt. Aaron Maish, redshirt senior from Green Bay out of the floor for the first time today for the Badgers. We're number 5 in white. Bernardo Perry for 3. That one goes. His first made 3 today. Michigan, Jacksonville, game 3 of our quadruple header. We'll join Kevin Kugler and John Crispin in Ann Arbor next.
What's the temperature?
Running timeout, Wisconsin.
Let's see, it's what, -1 here. So let's say Ann Arbor's going to be, what, 4? 4 or 5 above.
Well, it'll be dark, so it'll be colder.
That's right. Good point.
Do they have it colder than us?
Andy Van Vliet out of the floor.
So Van Vliet started the season as a starter, but Greg Gard was very concerned about whether or not he could handle the physical nature of other 4s, and he got exposed in that Xavier loss here at Kohl Center.
Maish. His 9th game.
So Greg said, look, it's up to these guys. If they want to play more, let me see it in practice. Let me see you defend and rebound.
Final 90 seconds from Madison, Wisconsin. About to improve to 8 and 7. A deep 3 for Harris is short. And a rebound to UMass Lowell and a fresh 30. Harris tries again. It's 4 threes now for Harris. He has 14 points. Only Gantz has more for UMass Lowell. Gantz with 16. Thomas, that's off the mark. Tipped around.
Wide left. Badgers hope they're not wide left in any field goals or extra points tonight.
Good luck to Wisconsin, the Orange Bowl tonight.
De facto home game for them.
Schlunt lost it, now 2-on-1. And UMass Lowell in transition. Dontavius Smith with the dunk. Thomas with the right hand. Thomas now with 6. Shot clock is off.
Well, great win for Wisconsin as they head back into the Big Ten with Indiana coming in here next. Great for me to be back here, courtside, my alma mater. Always love coming back to Madison. Thanks for joining me the last 3 games here. It's been a pleasure, Corey.
Enjoyed it, Andy. Happy New Year to you and your family.
You. Be in studio Wednesday night for BTN. Looking forward to that.
Seconds tick away, and the Badgers with a win today over UMass Lowell, 82-53. Wisconsin has now won 4 straight games, and during this 4-game winning streak, the Badgers are averaging over 80 points and shooting better than 50% from the field, and we saw more of that today. Wisconsin puts up 82 points. They shoot 56% from the field. Ethan Happ, 18 points, 4 rebounds and 3 assists. Brevin Pritzel with a career-high 18 points, also had 7 rebounds as well. The Badgers took advantage of this smaller UMass Lowell team, rebounding the Riverhawks 36-19. Wisconsin now 8-7, and standing by with head coach of the Badgers, Greg Gard. Here's Andy Katz.
All right, thank you, Corey. So, Greg, the other night, you guys get off to a great start against Chicago State, but then let them back in. What was the difference tonight in not allowing Lowell to do the same?
Well, I think we were more consistent on both ends of the floor, specifically defensively, and that's the thing with, I think probably with any team you've talked to, any coach across the country, they're trying to find or have their team reach a level of consistency and then stay there, and that's hard to do. So I thought we were much more consistent today.
So you're not whole. You won't be for a couple of weeks until Trice comes back. As you restart the Big Ten season, what did you learn about your team this week that you think can give you more optimism heading into that Indiana game?
Well, they're a resilient group. They have been all year. You know, they're growing, they're learning, trying to figure a lot of things out. But I like the way they compete. They battle. They want to get better. They want to be a good team. We just got a lot of growing to do yet.
Appreciate it, Greg. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Andy.
Back to you, Corey.
All right, Andy, thank you very much. And the Badgers now 8-7 on the year, winning 82-53. Big Ten play looms next for Wisconsin. This has been an exclusive presentation of the Big Ten Network. For Andy Katz and our great crew, Corey Probus saying so long. Happy New Year, everybody. Now we go back to Chicago. Dave Repson standing by. More coming up here on BTN. Wisconsin a winner. Happy New Year from Madison.